Do you not like us? Join our cult. Please.
Wait.
Everybody knows about the furry community, you know, including Ruben's recent commentary on them. The community's behavior on and off the internet has been under more scrutiny than ever. This especially follows the fun-demic, where it seems a huge number of kids went from being somewhat socially active to just being completely isolated.
Yo, what the hell?
Where did they turn to, you may ask? Online communities. This is expected. Hell, I bet nearly all of you watching this video joined some kind of online community during the fun-demic to keep yourself busy. This, however, leads me to one of my favorite sayings of all time. Idle hands are the devil's playground. This video is going to be me standing on a bit of an soapbox, expressing my disappointment with the furry community as a whole and many of those who defend its shortcomings. Everything presented here is, of course, kind of my opinion, but also there's quite a bit of fact in here as well. But just know that this is a blanket generalization that I really intend to apply to the entire community, not really any specific individual or sub-community here. When I tell you how much the furry community is collectively addicted to NSFW material, it'll blow your mind. From my experience meeting furries in real life, yes, I've met real-life fursuiters, I live near quite a few, talking to them online, and everything between, a large majority of them are quite sexual. Let me say, if you're an adult and that's your thing, I don't really care, as long as you haven't broken the law. May I find your taste weird or even gross? Yeah, of course. But I won't avoid talking to you unless I see a real reason to. However, this community has literally been restructured from the ground up since the pandemic to cater more and more towards lonely... Bro, you cannot make this shit up. I looked up lonely furry on Twitter and like the first 4 results were porn. Isolated and attention-deprived teenagers to make their sexual thoughts and desires known. Of course, many kids under 18 don't publicly display these things, but they sure as hell do privately, as I'm sure you've seen from some of my videos. The amount of kids under 18 addicted to furry porn seems to have, like, skyrocketed.
Oh my god, this guy has an E621 shirt. That's fucking hilarious, man.
Shit, playing an average game of Roblox and seeing some kid wearing a femboy outfit, running around with striped stockings and a collar, is not something you would have seen half as often like 5 years ago. I mean, I'm speaking from personal experience there. Of course, Roblox didn't have UGC at that point, but the clothing still existed, and from my memory, again, I never actually saw this until, you know, within the past couple years. You have a lot of kids who seek approval from a largely online, over-sexualized clique of, like, Discord furries by playing a certain character to please others. And for that, I genuinely feel bad. These kids are in an incredibly formative period in their lives and are not being shown healthy ways to cope with their feelings. What I really want to talk about, though, are a few things, mostly circulating back to the idea of how underrepresented porn addiction is in the general media, as well as the cycle of addiction as a whole. It's an affliction millions, if not billions, deal with daily. Yet, unlike alcoholism, chain smoking, etc., nobody seems to recognize it as a problem. I honestly believe this is because Gen Z is, realistically, the first generation that will have to grapple with this as a challenge. But, to begin in a more well-known place, I guess, let's talk about everybody's favorite furry website. If you're unaware of what this website is, I envy you. Really, I do. More recently, E621 has rapidly entered the internet's cultural zeitgeist and become literally one of the top 1,000 most popular websites of the current era. Unfucking believable. Anyways, disregarding the fact that the guy who owns the site owns another very specific company that sells a very specific type of toy who also engages in a very specific type of inappropriate behavior. The problem here lies within lots of the images displayed on the site, including rape, abuse, young, child, toddler, child on child, infant? What the actual fuck, bro? I'm not even talking about the fact that this website hosts these images. I'm more concerned with the fact that some of these tags have thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of results. I'm gonna take a real quick side quest here for something I just found on Twitter. The shitty thing called the E621 tag bot just like posts random tags, I guess, and it posted young. And then there's motherfuckers up in the comments right now saying good tag with 29 likes. Now, to be fair, there's 38 comments and most of them are saying like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Saying I wonder what your search history looks like.
But there's like a bunch of like people saying W, bro. Like, of course a lot of people are like, what the hell? But the problem is, if they really cared, they'd be like, oh, let's actually start something to be like, let's get this fucker to remove young from as a tag from his website. But they don't. They don't do any of this, and they wonder why it's such a problem. If you want change, do something. Get off your lazy asses and do something.
Let's take some of the people I've covered on the channel before. Andrew, according to his furry porn Twitter account bio, says he will, quote, punt minors with tremendous force. They say these things on the surface, but we all know this is obviously not the case. We've seen other examples like Kiro the Wolf, who is trying to rebrand to escape his past allegations, played this child-friendly and open persona only to be outed as a guy who tortures animals for his pleasure. This stuff has literally affected me personally too. Near me, there is this guy who fursuits in public. I'm not gonna say who he is obviously, but he hangs out with his boyfriend while fursuiting in a park near me, and a lot of people know about them. I met him before, thought he was a bit odd, but didn't really think much of him. One day I found his Twitter and looked around for a bit, and he listed himself as Arrow Ace as of about a year and a half ago, which if you aren't aware means someone isn't sexually attracted or romantically attracted to anyone. I didn't think much of it and just moved on. Then about a year later, I decided to check in after I had seen some people near me talk about him again. And wouldn't you fucking know it, bro has an entire page dedicated to being a diaper fur. A diaper fur! There are some kinks that I don't really care about that much, but diaper furs are something that really pisses me off personally. And I'd actually like dapped this guy out before. What I'm trying to say is this: you don't really know people as well as you think you do. And when those people's entire personalities revolve around an online character, they can be hiding some pretty dark things. To go back to what I was saying earlier, where did all of these kinks come from? That's right, you guessed it, porn. People aren't born with these kinks, they develop them over time through gradual exposure. That is why I believe wholeheartedly calling predators and people who consume illicit pornography mentally ill is very harmful. Not harmful in the sense that it'll hurt their feelings, no, I don't care about that. I mean it more so in that it gives them a reason that they cannot control as to why they have sexually deviant behavior. This needs to be recognized for what it truly is, an addiction. An addiction not unlike alcoholism, being addicted to crack, pills, or any other illicit substance. And you can also fall under a very similar regimen to make the proper steps towards recovery: therapy and rehabilitation. But because porn addiction is such a taboo and rarely talked about topic, nobody gets the help they actually need. Our generation is the loneliest in history, it seems, and many people use porn as a way to fill some kind of emotional vacuum they may possess. And sad as that may be, there are other ways to alleviate those feelings, obviously. Maybe the Andrews, Jukes, Kiros, and Faves of the world would have never existed if the proper support system existed. If it wasn't apparent enough already, porn addiction can affect anybody of any age. Where does this addiction naturally seem to bottom out? At the most horrific things imaginable: child abuse material. Since the Andrew files, some people and myself have dedicated hours to cataloging and archiving information related to exposing Roblox pedophiles, and the amount of times literal children as young as 14 or 15 have been discussing things like their illegal porn collection, and it has been absolutely baffling. And you know what many of these kids are? Furries. I'm sorry, and I hate I have to be this blunt, but when I say the vast majority of these people have been furries of some kind, is really true. This obviously comes from a mixture of a few things, mostly being the simple feedback loop of addiction. Your dopamine receptors are fired after seeing something relatively basic. Then after doing it enough, your brain is so saturated with dopamine that you require more. So you dig for more taboo things, which becomes a furthering feedback loop which bottoms out at the aforementioned place. Now, just as people are fine coming home and just drinking a beer while watching football before bed, and they'll never do anything more hardcore, there are people out there who start small and constantly get worse and worse with a given substance until it bottoms out. Sometimes that bottom is literally dying, but obviously in porn's case, this won't happen. Before you go in the comments and trash me for being anti-porn or something like that, let me be 100% clear. I wholeheartedly understand the importance of having a sexual outlet, even being under 18. As much as I feel porn sites actively attempt to attract those under 18, as they know it's an easy audience, and an easy one to get addicted at that. That's why I find sites like E621 so awful. They categorize and collect art that is appealing to a child or teenager because of the colors and simplicity of much of it, paint a story about it that is enticing, and it hooks you in. Furry porn is literally like crack. It ticks much of the boxes that many teenagers want. It's free, features characters their age or similar, is drawn in a way so that it is without imperfections, and gives an idealized look into what sexual activity actually is about. Just like how tobacco has advertised itself as a stress reliever for anxious teenagers, or how alcohol is marketed as a way to let loose and party harder. The difference here, though, is that the advertisement's free. The furry community does this itself. It's become like a cultural thing to talk about porn in the furry community. Have you seen how many E621 shirts have been uploaded to Roblox? Half of them don't even get taken down. And lo and behold, you see some random like 15-year-old kid walking around and advertising a porn site because it's quote-unquote funny on some shitty game like the petting room. It's become a part of the culture, and it's absolutely disgusting and beyond unhealthy in my opinion. Y'all, It's a pretty simple concept. As much as I don't really have a problem with the furry fandom, this rampant porn addiction problem has become something that I've seen quite frequently nowadays. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And when this community jokes about NSFW material all the time, it almost always means that there's actually a secret obsession within it. Thanks for listening to me stand on my soapbox. I know it's probably what most furries don't want to hear, but as an outsider who is very familiar with the community, and I'm very familiar with the community, trust me, I know the problems inside and out. If you believe that porn addiction doesn't lead to grooming, I wholeheartedly invite you to go check out my EbiGen video where me and some friends posed ourselves as a 15-year-old naive furry only to get groomed by like 10 people in the span of a couple months. Anyways, other than that, take care. I'll see you in the next video.